The people of Wisconsin they've spoken, and it's been a resounding victory for Governor Scott Walker. Now that he's won the recall vote, the next question is, will this race have any effect on the presidential election?
David Brody brings us the details of Walker's victory and how a big conservative turnout actually helped him win.
Welcome, Governor Walker!
He will still be called governor, but after beating a recall effort, Scott Walker can add a new title, conservative hero.
Tonight we tell Wisconsin, we tell our country, and we tell people all across the globe that voters really do want leaders who stand up and make the tough decisions.
In short, Walker took on the public unions and won. His budget cutting left them with fewer benefits and less power. They wanted to run him from office, but came up short. In a statement, AFL-CIO President Richard Trumka said, "We wanted a different outcome, but Wisconsin forced the governor to answer for his efforts to divide the state and punish hardworking people." Walker's Democratic opponent couldn't say much either.
To those of you who fought, who obtained signatures, who stood out in the cold, who did what you thought was right, never, ever stop doing what you think is right.
Conservatives from all over the country poured in support as a way to stand with a governor who tackled his state's budget problems despite the unions trying to keep costly benefits at the taxpayer expense. Before the election, Walker told CBN News that losing his seat would be worth the fight.
Unfortunately, I think there's too many politicians in America today who make the decision solely in the end about whether or not they run the risk of losing. And to me, that's one of our problems. You can't be afraid to lose.
The Tea Party movement helped to push Walker to victory. Members came to Wisconsin for nearly a year to knock on doors and give him a hand. It translated nicely as turnout ended up being close to 70%. Another factor was that voters saw economic improvement, including falling unemployment, a budget surplus, and 30,000 new jobs in the last few months.
The message of the recall is that the public will reward you for difficult steps in the short run if you can demonstrate progress and you can demonstrate that things will be better in the long run.
The only sliver of good news for Democrats is that exit polls showed Wisconsin voters picking President Obama over Mitt Romney, 51 to 45%. But after Walker's big night, that's just a blip on the radar. Gordon?
David, you coined a new word, T-vangelical. Is this a victory for T-vangelicals?
Oh, there's no doubt about it. You know, it was funny. Scott Walker, and of course we interviewed him about a month and a half ago out in Wisconsin. He talked all about God. He gave his life to Christ. He's a PK, a preacher's kid. And last night in his acceptance speech, who was he thanking first? He was thanking God first. And of course, he is big time aligned with the Tea Party. And so that's exactly what a T-evangelical is, a evangelical Christian, a conservative Christian who very much aligns with the Tea Party. He is right in the wheelhouse of the T-evangelical moniker.
Are you surprised that the unions are sort of downplaying this? It seems to me as a pretty huge loss for them, and they put millions of dollars into the recall and into the race. So why aren't they acknowledging this is a pretty big blow?
Well, they have no other choice, Gordon. I mean, they pretty much, it's very hard for them to acknowledge the truth. And the reality on the ground is that the Tea Party beat big labor in Wisconsin. It's really that pure and simple. It was an ideological fight from the beginning over not just collective bargaining, but are we going to get tough on fiscal issues? The Tea Party came to play in Wisconsin. So did big labor. But you know, Gordon, $45 million was put in by Walker and all of the groups combined, all the conservative groups combined, $45 million. $10 million of that 45 was put in by one Tea Party group alone, Americans for Prosperity. It gives you a sense of how the Tea Party very much came to play in Wisconsin.
Any implications for the presidential race? The last time Wisconsin voted for a Republican in the presidential election was Ronald Reagan, so it's been a long time. Is there any implications here?
Well, I think there are a few. First of all, Obama won Wisconsin in 2008 by 14 points. He is now up by about 7 to 8 points in some of the latest polls. So the Obama campaign now calling Wisconsin undecided rather than in their column, if you will. And the Romney campaign now calling the state a toss-up state. So Romney's going to play in Wisconsin. There's no doubt about it. And the bad news for the Obama administration is that the conservative activists have shown up in droves out in Wisconsin. The Tea Party and on. That get out the vote effort by the Republican Party out there was strong as well. So there was a lot of enthusiasm. It showed in Wisconsin. And the president, well, he's not endorsing. Actually, he didn't really even go for Mayor Tom Barrett. He didn't go out there at all to Wisconsin. All he did was tweet his support, which means he's running and running away from what's going on out there.
Well, David, thank you. You can always get David's latest political coverage by checking out the Brody File on cbnnews.com. You can also watch his regular weekly Brody File television program on our website. It's an internet webcast. It's posted on Friday mornings, and you can stay up with the latest word in politics, T-Evangelicals. Well, Lee Webb has the rest of our top stories from the CBN Newsroom. Lee?
Gordon, the legal battle over California's ban on same-sex marriage appears to be headed now for the U.S. Supreme Court. A federal appeals court has refused to reconsider an earlier ruling against the ban. That decision said it's a violation of civil rights provided by the U.S. Constitution. The measure, known as Proposition 8, was approved by California voters. Prop 8 sponsors expect the Supreme Court will decide sometime this fall on whether it will take the case. A growing number of divorce attorneys claim that Facebook is becoming a downfall for marriages, and some even warn that it could pose a different type of threat to children. Ephraim Graham has that story.
Facebook's claim to fame is its power to connect you with the people around you. But with nearly 1 billion users, those connections are causing a growing number of marital separations.
Oh, here's the new girlfriend, or here's the new boyfriend. And you know, in Tennessee, until the judge signs the divorce order, you're not supposed to have a girlfriend or boyfriend.
Attorney Keith Denon is a social media specialist. He says these days Facebook has nearly replaced the need for costly private investigators in divorce proceedings.
Now, all we got to do is sit at our desk and we can find out all the things that you're doing.
New studies estimate more than 1/3 of all divorce filings last year contained the word Facebook, and more than 80% of U.S. divorce attorneys say they've seen a rise in the number of cases involving social networking.
If you're a spouse who has been wronged or you suspect something is going on, this is a great way to find out if it is. What they're putting out there for anybody to see, that may sway a judge's opinion when they're looking at what's in the best interest of the children.
Speaking of children, they're Facebook's next audience, and some say its next potential problem.
I know a woman who has 8-year-old twins who both of her children have Facebook, and they've both posted inappropriate photos, and they're girls at 8 years old.
As it stands now, Facebook users must be 13 to sign up for an account. But the social networking giant is looking to legally expand its audience to younger children by giving parents control, since some kids are signing up anyway.
There needs to be a lot of supervision, and that's just not possible in this day and age. That's
Laura Davies is a child psychiatrist.
But if this kid is online and makes some inappropriate connections, it can actually lead to long-term dangers that really harm him the rest of their lives.
An important reminder for couples to be careful and parents to be vigilant. Ephraim Graham, CBN News.
Gordon, amen to that.
And amen to privacy controls. Learn how to use it. It's something where you can set controls on that, where you do limit who has access to it. And I would encourage you to use it very wisely. Christy?
You know what? I believe in making life easy, Gordon. And we've kind of talked about the Facebook thing before, and sometimes, you know, the whole internet, social media.
So you just don't have an account?
No, it's just it complicates things. It complicates people, relationship. A friend of mine said, he's married, and he said the biggest fight that he and his wife have ever gotten to was over Facebook, because her ex-boyfriend, they've been married for years, her ex-boyfriend friended her. She said yes, and they became friends. And he's like, why are you friends with your ex-boyfriend? Why are you chatting? Why are you having a conversation? Which started this big, huge, argument. I'm like, just don't get on it. That's my, well, you know, I'm extreme.
That's easy. Just don't friend your
I'm extreme.
your exes.
I know, that's true.
But for me, it's a great boon. I just celebrated a birthday, and I got
Happy
greetings
birthday, by the way.
from Kenya and from the Philippines, people that I knew back in the 90s, from India, from literally all over the world, Thailand. People, you know, it was actually very encouraging, and if I wasn't using that, then I wouldn't have that. And these are people that I've loved dearly, know dearly, and for them to have an easy way to communicate with me was really good.
Well, that's lovely. Okay, so maybe we just need to go
There's
in
a
the
good
middle.
side.
There's a good side. You're the good side.
Don't friend your ex.
That's true.
A court has ruled that a photography studio in Albuquerque, New Mexico is guilty of discrimination because it refused to take pictures of a gay commitment ceremony. That ruling comes from New Mexico's Court of Appeals, the decision upholding a lower court ruling that said the studio is considered a public accommodation similar to a restaurant or a store. The Alliance Defense Fund represents the Christian couple that owns the studio. That couple says their decision is simply a reflection of their religious and moral beliefs, and they plan to appeal. At least 19 people are dead in Nigeria after a suspected attack by the radical Islamic group Boko Haram. Gunfire and explosions rocked two cities in Nigeria Tuesday for hours. Boko Haram has yet to claim responsibility for that violence, but the radical Islamist group has claimed to be behind a number of recent attacks on churches in Nigeria, including one Sunday that killed at least 15 people. You can always get the latest from CBN News by going to our website at cbnnews.com.